All right. Okay, so we're back at this again. Another kind of reaction to some national media takes out there. This is going to be an interesting video with one of my favorite ESPN commentators, Rob Ninkovich, talking about Baker Mayfield and whether he's going to get a contract extension done, whether he needs one, whether he deserves one. And you can assume that, there's going to be some fun stuff that happens in between there. So that's all going to be interesting. Just in case, like Baker Mayfield somehow signs this extension over the weekend, I am pre-recording this video the same time I recorded Q&A. So if Baker has signed a contract extension before this video has been posted, that's just what's happened. Now, with that bit of housekeeping out the way, I want to make sure I give a shout out to the patreon.com dog check tier members. I'm going to start with Fred Pratt III, David Vautier, Relentless Buck, Chunt, Rex Kaufman, The Real Quincy Carrier, Kevin Johnson, Marino V, Cleveland Cart, Matt H, Sign Sheets, Gemini, Fight Dirty 74, Yo-Yo, Matt Lloyd, Paul Wilcox, Hundo Magnifico, Rob Ferron, Kyle Stouffer, Lukey from Munich, Dave Roth, J Guy 101, Joe Bobby, Brad Cowbo, Dylan W, James McGinley, Arenda Hall, Chad Gimme, David Maldonado, Dylan Hale, Josh Bendor, Mark M, TJ Showman, Stuart Moore, Cleveland BCI, Robert Jermaine Jr., Dave Mike May, John Cummings, Andrew Hirsch, Curtis Bear, Brock Kumar, John Albert, Masayua, Buds Roland, James Nemo, Mac House, Reeve Hertz, Philip Wilcoxon, Marie Vivert, Sean Barron, Goggles Pisano, Corporal Nick Lopez, Dom Gazzulo, Nick Nasty, Ian Whitaker, Colin 216, Anthony Latham, Christian, Dave Strong, Matt Stone, Charles Work, Billy Moose Gentry, Mark Burnett II, Andre Griffin, Otis Wolf, Dog Pound Kai, Greg Ehlers, Austin Bolin, Kirkabar, Easley Badge, Joe Hart, Warren Ash, Tyler Chiz, John Kessel, J. Gabriel Wilson, Max Nilikinko, Lydia Mahawk, Jesus Serrano, Chris Phones, Picktown Browns backers, Mark Kahn, Max Owl Dojo, and Water Bear Marketing. Again, guys, thank you so much. Now let's jump into this video from one of our favorite shows on this channel, ESPN Get Up, and really break down this conversation about Baker Mayfield and whether he should get a contract extension or not. So I found this video just kind of like lingering on my YouTube page. But again, guys, if you want to send me videos and you'll get credited before I start the little breakdown of what I'm going to do, send me them on Twitter at KWEN_C. The link's going to be in the description down below. Follow me on Twitter and tweet me video clips or links to video clips of takes that you want me to react to. And if I do react to your clip, I'll give you a special shout out before I start the breakdown. So please follow me on Twitter, send me takes. I'm looking for them all the time. And if you want to be on the show, it's a great way to kind of get your name on the show. Now, this video is from Get Up, and they're talking about the recent comments from Baker Mayfield's agents, which will be covered in the clip that I'm going to go. So let's just jump into it.
Be watching closely. Baker Mayfield, #1 overall pick in 2018. He had his fifth-year option exercised a few months ago, but now we turn our attention to the potential long-term extension. This exactly is the moment on the calendar where they tend to like to do that, right before training camp. Well, Mayfield's agent, Jack Mills, was on ESPN 850 in Cleveland saying, we're not going to be dragging it out. I think there's been enough contracts done for quarterbacks lately to give us a pretty good idea of what the market is. But I think something will be done this summer as far as trying to get a deal done. I don't know if it'll get done. It's something that will be pretty much in the team's control. So he's saying he wants to do it, and he's talking about the precedent that has been set by a bunch of really big contracts. I'm thinking of Dak Prescott and some of the others. So Kimberly Martin, what is your sense? Should we be expecting one of these days to be opening the show today by saying Baker Mayfield has now become, one of the 5 highest paid players in the NFL, signing a huge extension with Cleveland?
One of these days, potentially. The Browns want to lock him up. But it's funny, Greeny, when I talk to people around the league, they tell me it's the Baltimore Ravens who should be really aggressive about signing Lamar Jackson, as opposed to the Cleveland Browns jumping to sign Baker Mayfield long term. Now, the Browns have made it clear they love Baker, they do want to extend him.
All right, that's one interesting thing. You're going to see this kind of throughout the video where people are juxtaposing the contract situation and the timing for the contract for Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, and Lamar Jackson as if they're different. Now, all of these guys were drafted in the first round in the exact same year, so they're all got the same contract status. So I just don't get the argument of why you have time with Baker Mayfield, but you don't have time with Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen when you have the exact same kind of contract length and, pitfalls that you could fall through with the contract when it comes to the fifth-year option, franchise tag, and all that, that you have with Baker Mayfield. I don't know why Baker Mayfield gets singled out as the guy that you have time with, as if he was drafted like last year or something like that. Like, it's weird. All these guys are at their point of their contract where normally quarterbacks get extended if teams want to move forward with them. We've just kind of confirmed that the Browns want to move forward with Baker Mayfield. Sounds like the agent Baker Mayfield side, obviously they want to move forward as well. So I just don't understand. And also one thing that I think is interesting is nobody brings up the benefit of signing your quarterback long term, if you want to make sure you keep them just a little bit earlier, just so you can know for long term future planning what your cap situation is going to be, or at least have a better projection of what your cap situation is going to be. One of the issues that I have with people who are like, hey, you have time, let's see if he's good next year, let's see it. And I understand the thinking behind that, right? If you're not sold on Baker Mayfield, you're going to want to wait and wait and wait. That's understandable, okay? But the danger of that is that Baker Mayfield, maybe you wait one more year, but he has a MVP type season to where it completely upends your projection of what you have to pay Baker Mayfield. And all of a sudden, your future planning on how you're going to keep this guy and how you're going to keep this guy and what you're going to be able to offer these guys in between here blows up because you didn't expect to keep your quarterback. You would have to reset the market because he had an MVP type year. So that's really the biggest risk of letting your quarterback go unextended at this point, is if he blows up, does that change the number that you're going to have to offer him? And does that number greatly change the amount that you can give everybody else? And with a team like the Browns, who everybody likes to mention, Nick Chubb, a lot of young players, Denzel Ward, Wyatt Teller, Ronnie Harrison, a lot of young guys you're going to want to keep long term. With that being the case, you're going to want to be able to structure this thing out long term to figure out who it is that you can keep, who it is that you can't afford to keep. And if you look at how the Browns did it last year with Myles Garrett, once they signed Myles Garrett long term, now they knew how they could plan and spend around Myles Garrett in that defense to be able to assist Myles Garrett more effectively. The contract didn't hinder that ability. It actually greatly helped that ability. And with Baker Mayfield, the same can be said. If you think Baker Mayfield is not good without everything else around him, right? If you're one of those people who think that it's all Kevin Stefanski or it's all the wide receivers or whatever, the offensive line or scheme, then my argument to you would be, even if you think that is the case, you can sign Baker Mayfield right now, get his numbers set, so you can then set everybody else's number and lock down all the pieces around him. If you let him free fly throughout this year, you might end up having to give him more money, which is going to completely change everything that you have been planning for. So I get why the conversation goes like this. I just think that this would be an interesting aspect to add to these conversations when we have them about any young quarterback, but specifically how the conversation has been laid out towards Baker Mayfield in this very specific way. But let's get back to it.
Have you seen enough for Baker Mayfield that says to you, I'm hitching my horse to, or my wagon to that, well, whatever it is you hitch to whatever, he's going to be my quarterback for the next 10 years, done, I'm signing him right now. Would you do it?
No, I wouldn't sign him right now. I'll wait another year, G. His first year under Kevin Stefanski was phenomenal, and they did a phenomenal job, and he looks like the guy that's the perfect fit for this offense. But I got to see it done again. And it's because of Baker and how it started out, and unfortunately for him, going through different coaches in different situations.
All right, let me jump in right here real quick. Why is the rookie year being ignored with Baker Mayfield recently? Why does not... it was one bad year of 3. And if you want to say how it was in 2019 still gives you pause, okay. But how it started he almost won Rookie of the Year. He broke the rookie touchdown. It started off pretty good with Baker Mayfield. Then, Freddie Kitchens, Todd Monken, whether you buy that or not, 2019 was rough, right? A lot of interceptions, a lot of question marks. And then 2020 came and he kind of answered some of those question marks. So, I just don't know why people who were obviously around on the network covering the NFL, talking about Baker Mayfield in 2018, have suddenly not remembered that he was actually good his rookie year. It's just one of those interesting things that keeps on popping up whenever you hear people talk about Baker Mayfield nationally. Let's get back to the video.
But when you look at this team and when you look at the success of the Cleveland Browns, the whole is definitely greater than the one or the few, right? And I understand that you want to get your franchise quarterback locked in, but to Kimberly's point, there's a lot of contracts that's going to have to get done. Andrew Berry has his work. The general manager for the Cleveland Browns has his work cut out for him. It's a good problem because you have so much young talent. But also remember, Myles Garrett just got a $100 million deal. And I get it, that all of this stuff shouldn't affect your starting quarterback.
Interesting when you look at that list of players. Now, Nick Chubb is pretty irreplaceable, and it would be hard to replace him. The question you would have to ask if you had to replace Nick Chubb, and this is a rabbit hole I know a lot of people don't like going down, isn't can you find somebody as good as Nick Chubb? It's can somebody who is not as good as Nick Chubb but decent still be good enough for this offense to work? So that's a question for you to ask yourself. Does this offense require a running back as good as Nick Chubb, or is it a nice extra to this offense? How you answer that question determines how much money you're going to end up giving Nick Chubb. So that's one to watch out for. Jadeveon Clowney, he's kind of on a tryout, so he's not part of the long-term future right now. And if he does have a great year this year, I don't expect him to be back unless he takes less money. Jarvis Landry, that's a whole renegotiation deal at that point, right? Like if he resigns, it's going to be for less money because he'll be much older at that point. And it'll be more he wants to stay in Cleveland. Denzel Ward's a big question mark. Nick Chubb's a big question mark. But again, signing Baker Mayfield right now then makes it easier for you to sign Nick Chubb and Denzel Ward, because then you know exactly what you're going to have for next year to offer these guys. The guys that you have time with are Denzel Ward, are Nick Chubb, because you can franchise tag Nick Chubb and it's not going to cost you $35 million. You can franchise Denzel Ward and it's not going to cost you $35 million. If you fifth year and franchise Baker Mayfield, well, you can even fifth year Denzel Ward, so you don't even have to worry about the franchise tag because he was a first round pick. You would have to franchise tag Nick Chubb. But if you franchise tag Baker Mayfield, it's going to be much more expensive, and it's really hard to find another quarterback in the NFL. So, that would be my counter argument to a lot of what they're saying right now.
But I just don't believe that Baker right now commands the type of money that you would have to pay for a quarterback in order to alienate other people from your team, and not in a bad way. But this is one of those particular situations where you truly have to ask yourself, is our quarterback lifting the play of everybody around him, or is he a product of the guys that we have around him? And then you make a decision from there. And based on that thought process, for me, I'd wait another year because I have him under cheap money and I got a lot of other good players, and we could actually make a run at the Super Bowl this year in particular.
All right. So right now, honestly, I've had my disagreements. I popped in where I can pop in, but this is a pretty solid segment. You had some very nuanced opinions outside of the one thing where people forget that Baker Mayfield had a good rookie year. Not much to be upset about. I would make the argument that look what Baker did once Odell went out and how he made guys like Donovan Peoples-Jones better, how he made Rashard Higgins better. I know a lot of people say Rashard Higgins is underrated, but tell me, what has Rashard Higgins ever done without Baker Mayfield? Brashard Perriman's another wide receiver who has had his best years with Baker Mayfield, best year with Baker Mayfield. And you can say the same with Donovan Peoples-Jones. Wasn't really that great at Michigan with the peanut gallery that runs it over there. And then, gets to Cleveland first year, looks a lot better than a 6th round pick. But now we're going to bring on a dude who literally, I swear to you, I have only ever seen this man on television when it's time to talk about Baker Mayfield negatively, right? Like Baker throw 2 interceptions in a game, you're going to see Rob Ninkovich on the screen on Get Up. Baker throw for 4 touchdowns, 400 yards, you will never hear from Rob Ninkovich. Like he only pops up to critique, like that's his job. ESPN has this man in the bullpen, just like, yo, once Baker messes up, throw him on the screen. And you know what? Some people are going to say, oh, that's ESPN bias. Oh, man, ESPN's terrible. I'm going to say that is a sign of respect for Baker Mayfield, that they keep a man on payroll just to hate on you. That's how you know you made it.
Absolutely. Rob Ninkovich, same question. Have you seen enough?
No, I haven't seen enough. Listen.
No. I totally didn't manufacture that reaction. By the way, he looks like Shia LaBeouf. I just want to point that out. But let's hear what he has to say.
When you look at quarterback QBR on strictly drop back passing, Baker is 20th. And okay, play action pass, he's second. But what does that mean? That means play action pass, setting up the run, running the football. That's what they do. It's not his fault. They have a great running game.
Is he arguing himself? He's like, man, Baker's such a terrible drop back passer. On this one metric, in this specific area, he's no good. So that means he's no good. But if you bring out another metric in another specific area, he's the second best in the NFL. He's arguing himself, y'all. Shia, let Shia keep talking, man.
But for me to spend $30+ million a year on a quarterback, we've seen what these quarterbacks are making and what the new contracts are going to be. They're going to be in excess of $40 million a year. You don't rush into that type of money decision-wise. You don't just rush into that. Let's pay him top dollar. No. I want to see him progress a little bit more. I want to see him drop back in the pocket, throw some accurate passes, be a all-around great quarterback, and then I'll give you the money. Because right now, I just still think that he has to grow as a player, and I want to see him be an accurate pocket passer.
What does he think? Baker Mayfield? Does he think Baker Mayfield out here getting his production off the read option? Like that sounded like what a bad Twitter troll hater like argument for like Lamar Jackson would be. Like, oh, he can't throw out the pocket. But he's describing Baker Mayfield. I can't explain it, but apparently Baker Mayfield's no good from the pocket. He's terrible from the pocket. He's not accurate. You know what we found out today? We found out that there's actually decent discourse on ESPN about football players, their situation. Like that's a decent, discourse. Do I agree with all of it? No. Do I think there were some points that were a little dishonest? Sure. But it's ESPN. Like it's not going to be, a debate, like an actual debate. But we also found out, most importantly, Shia LaBeouf don't watch football. And that's a shocking revelation. But that's it for this reaction. Again, guys, if you want to send me clips that I can react to on this channel, make sure you tweet them at me at KWEN_C, Quincy. It's how it's kind of spelled out there. I know it's silly, but links in the description if you want to follow me on Twitter and send me clips that you think are outrageous. But that's it for today's video. Again, guys, thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Have a good night.